Hello and welcome back to Assetto Corsa EVO. Thank you very much for joining me in today's video. Now, last time out, I was driving at Donington Circuit in a Maserati GT2 car, and that got me thinking, maybe I should go around whilst Assetto Corsa EVO, whilst Kunos are doing updates, maybe I should go around driving different cars at different circuits, learning the circuits, because generally, I've never bothered learning a circuit before. I've just driven around the circuit and let myself naturally figure it out over a period of a few sessions. That is what I did with the Nordschleifer, and I would say that I pretty much know that track inside out now, although there is always time to gain when you are driving in various different vehicles. So what I'm going to do today is I'm thinking I'll go to Donington Park GP Circuit, which is not the circuit that I drove the Maserati. The Maserati, I used the national circuit, and see if I can learn it. So I'll start off with this GR86 that I have purchased. I will then perhaps move up to the Exige Cup car, and then finish in the Maserati GT2 car. I think that is a good progression. So it says 12.3, whatever that is. I have no idea why that Porsche's disappeared. But 12.3, 15.5, 19.9. That seems like a reasonable jump up. So make sure you stay tuned. Let's get started and let's learn Donington Park. Alright, here we are in at Donington. Now, a couple of things. Yes, I know, penalty for speeding, that doesn't really matter. A couple of things of note. Weird things have happened in Assetto Corsa. For some reason, I lost all my settings for controls. No idea why, and I've had to reset everything. Then I had no force feedback, none to speak of. It was absolutely zero. So I have no idea what's happened there. But now things seem to be one computer restart later, and about 4 or 5 game restarts later, things seem to be a little bit better. So let's go ahead and work our way through Donington, trying to find ideal lines, ideal speeds. So this first lap, I am just getting an idea, although I know the track obviously from the last video and from many videos beforehand. I'm getting an idea of where I can brake, where I can cut the track, and just general lines. So for example, this hairpin, as you can see, that was far too fast, so I need to figure out a better line through there. But coming up to the final hairpin, this one is an odd one because it's without head tracking you cannot really see it. So I'm going to switch traction control off. Without head tracking you just cannot see that corner unless obviously you're in VR. Then you should be able to. Apparently VR does work in this now. And I think that cone is an ideal spot to aim for, or that bollard, sorry, when you're turning in. As for this one, I think I can keep it fairly wide. Again, that bollard is... I feel like Kunos have put these bollards in intentionally as markers to aim for, which is pretty decent because that gives you bang on the apex. Like bringing this out, and then this bit, generally I think it needs to be straight lined somewhat. There's a lot more speed that can be carried through there as well. And similarly here. But as you can see, if you carry a bit too much speed there, it compromises this exit. So I think it is better to carry a little less speed. Once we get into a faster vehicle, I think that is when I'll be able to really notice it. That seems to work fairly well. So chicane, I do not really have many issues with. This turn though. Oh, okay. The car just went on me. I was not expecting the back of the car just to slide out on me with almost no warning. And as I said, this turn outside of VR or head tracking is a problem. So, 2-minute lap, not the greatest, but it's good to start finding some lap times. Yeah, bye-bye cone. Oh, okay, back across the windscreen and the bonnet. It's good to start trying to cut in, so I can keep this fairly tight, at least in this car. And then, realistically, I do want to be on this side. Turn in a little earlier than you think. From here I can cut straight across here, nice gentle turn all the way. I think aiming for that marker, the actual turn marker, that might be a good option for that previous corner. And that is how I want to do this bit. So I need to have it go out wide, but I must bring it in very quickly. So speed is, yes, I do need to ensure that I have maybe a reasonable turn of speed going into that corner. Chicane, again, as I said, no problems. Try and ease off the accelerator here without traction control. There we are. So this should get me comfortably into the 158s, 157s. If I do not spin it here. There it is, 156.8. That's not too bad. I think I have a little bit more speed I can carry into this. Yes, good. And just open up the steering. That is key. And just keep the car turning all the way through this. Now here, you want to cut in, but you want it to be a little late. And the reason you want it to be late is because... Oh dear. Come on, there we go. The reason you want it to be late is because if you cut in too early, it's like you're going to need to have to do sort of a double stab at your entry point. So that is what I'm learning there. And again, this one, that seems a little bit better. So maybe I do not want to take the car all the way out to the left-hand side. Yes, I think that may be unnecessary. This one, third gear is perfectly fine. Second is just unnecessary. And then coming into the hairpin once again, be very, very cautious. Without traction control, the back of the car does tend to slide out. And do the exact same thing here. Very cautious. Nope. I said very cautious and I completely messed it up. Interesting. Just driving this car is quite an interesting experience. It doesn't really give you much of a warning, which is odd, but there we go. Right, trying to claw back the time that I effectively lost down the start-finish straight. So what happens here, as I mentioned on the previous corner, is because of the way the turn keeps going, if you hit that apex too early, you're going to go out to the right-hand side, and then once you're out to the right-hand side, it means you have to effectively make a double apex corner, and you'd rather not. So if you wait a little later and then turn in a little later, hit a late apex, you can just sort of continue following the corner around, and it's much smoother, much smoother in my opinion. Here we go. We're starting to claw back some time. That was not great. Sort of came off the brake a bit, and you heard that I wasn't quite as far over to the right hand side there. That was probably as fast as I'd be able to go in this car around that corner. Now here, be very gentle with the throttle. There we go. Better. 155.6. Fairly slow still compared to some of the other laps that I've done or could do in this, which I'm going to in a moment. I'll be swapping over, I'll say in a lap or two, I'll swap over to a faster vehicle. There we go. That is really starting to push the limit with this car. And I'm starting to get a hang of this corner as well, which was causing me issues last video. See here, if I cut it in a little closer, you do lose it. That corner, there are very fine margins on where you put your line, or where the line is in that corner. That was much better. Although clobbered the curb on the left hand side a little too hard, and therefore had to get out of the throttle for the second part of the chicane because the car was unstable, which is not ideal. And trying to just brake a little later through this so that I can have a later apex, which seems to be working. So I'm braking just after or just before the rumble strip on the right hand side ends, and that is giving me a fairly good braking, performance. Still able to carry speed here. I'm in the 153s now. Potentially could get it down to a 152. See, that was an early apex, and you see how I had to take effectively 2 stabs at it, and I've ruined the lap. So there we go. That will do, I suppose. Let's have a quick look at the replay, shall we, before we go onto a different vehicle. Now, I started learning that obviously I have the different. There we go. It's a shame I cannot quite. I think there is a way to. Is it? bit there was pretty decent. Quite hard on the brakes. It's the F3 cameras. So just pressing F3 you can go through, cycle through various different cameras. See what camera is reasonable. That one looks pretty good. Bit too far away. I'll admit that's a little too far away. Do this though. Okay, let's go ahead and I suppose I should save this replay. Maybe when the replay mode and photo mode comes out, I can go back to this. Let's go back to the main menu and up the ante. Let's get a faster car. Try and do the exact same thing, but just with a faster vehicle. So Exige V6 Cup, which is also a manual gearbox. I think supercar tyres will do. I'm not going to change anything there. Now I've driven this car before as well, and it is a nice vehicle. So we'll give this a go. Of course, this is the one that has the really weird clutch issues. Okay. Why are you not starting? They need to sort out their ignition systems. They do need to sort out the ignition systems. Right, same concept. So we've gone from a 1 minute 53. What are we going to go down into? Now this car is a lot lower, so it's perhaps a little bit harder to see where you're aiming on a track with this sort of undulation. Yes, it is much harder to see where you're aiming on a track with this much undulation. But that's okay. This car is also wider, so that needs to be taken into consideration. Traction control is currently on 1, which it will remain on. It's either on or off. It doesn't have multiple settings. For now, I will leave it. Actually, no, you know what? Why not? Just for the sake of it, let's switch traction control off. Get a good feel for this car. Now, of course, the car is much faster, so braking points are going to be a little earlier. But do bear in mind, this car also has better brakes, better tyres, and therefore that has to be taken into consideration. So some of the braking points, like that braking point, should be slightly earlier. It may not be quite as far back from the GR86 as you might think. Okay, into turn 1, a little bit wide, so I have to take that a little bit slower. This takes more focus. This car does take more focus. Nice and gentle through here. I have to get off the accelerator for some of these corners. It's no longer flat like it was in the GR86. So even this, it's a little bit on. I think I'm going a little bit too quickly through these corners. That was pretty much perfect though. I'm not sure I can do that better at all. I suppose I could slam on the brakes because it does have ABS. Maybe I'll do that. In terms of grip, this car is a lot more grippy. Even without traction control on, it does not feel like this car is just going to slide out. And immediately, we are 10 seconds a lap faster. That's 10 seconds a lap faster. Almost. Than the fastest lap I did in the Toyota. Ooh, too early again. So there's an immediate difference in how this car, how I approach the track with this vehicle. There's a lot more aggression I can put in, which I'm not doing yet. That corner I'm still not getting right. But as I pointed out in the last video, this is what Assetto Corsa EVO, this is what Assetto Corsa did best in my opinion, is it did the hot lapping best. And that's exactly what I started doing in the last video with the Maserati, and I found that yes, this Assetto Corsa EVO does exactly what Assetto Corsa did. And it provides that hot lapping experience that you would not... I think other titles just do not quite have it. Okay, we are second and a half down. Well, I said second and a half, sorry. We are 8.5 seconds up from the Toyota, but I want to be over 10 seconds up. Started to get a little bit more of a feel there for these corners. Again, cannot be quite flat on these anymore. To ensure that I get those apexes, it's no longer a case of being flat. And that is a key thing. Sometimes people might think, well, the best way around these is to just be flat through all of it and just try and go faster and faster. Sometimes you have to get out of the throttle just to ensure that you can make have a better opportunity to turn the car or accelerate later on in the turn, that is, not accelerating later, because that's not an ideal thing. .3 of a second up, so really I think the first lap I did, or the first fast lap I did, was remarkably decent for a first attempt. A little bit late there. But gaining some time still. 1:42.9. That is definitely faster. That's definitely over 10 seconds faster than the Toyota. Oh, it's close. I think I have a better line through there, just about. I've lost the line through here though. Now I think there is a better line through this. Is that it? I think that was it. It's only slightly better. And that was perhaps pushing it a little too much. Gained a little bit of time, but not enough in the end to compensate for the loss on exit. And the same thing effectively has happened here as well. But I can perhaps improve. It was too early. Yep, that was far too early. And you saw, if you look at the lap delta, you saw that I was increasing. My lap time, my delta was going down. But then very quickly, as soon as I hit the apex, it went back up. Right, just a little too slow on exit. Let's try and improve this bit, shall we? Maybe? No, I think that's about as good as I've done it previously. So, not really ideal. I think ABS is catching me out a little as well. So that's something I need to work on. That's a little better, keeping it just a touch tighter. Let's try and improve this bit, shall we? There we go. Now all I have to do is hold it through the rest of the lap. Only one turn to go. See, that is way too late. Sorry, way too early. 1:42.5. Just about managed to keep the car on track. Slightly later on, the brakes helped. Tuck that in a little bit more. Third gear, turn in. That's working. Now this turn is... that is better. Just a bit. I'm still not getting it quite right. .2 of a second, well, 0.25 of a second, so a quarter of a second gained, which is a fair amount. And you see the movement now that I can carry into the chicane. That kind of speed is ideal into the chicane. That was not the ideal line either, but it wasn't too bad. Try second gear through here. Does that do anything? Second does. Okay, dropping it all the way down to second does have a benefit. Slow in, fast out. That is the rule, and it is working. The proof is right here. I'm gaining reasonable amounts of time. That was perhaps too slow in and understeer out, which is no good. Somehow I've managed to only lose a 10th in that. Not sure how I've managed to only lose a 10th, but... No, 2 tenths. 2 tenths. Lost 2 tenths in that. Can I tighten up this corner and get a better exit? I can. Maybe I should do that. Missed the shift. But I'm on a 41.8 now, which is not too shabby, if I do say so myself. Question is can I get any faster? No, that was a cut track, and that is that. And I think that is probably a good time to stop this one and check the replay very quickly and go off to the next car and see if I can get better with that vehicle. I'll go ahead and save that. I do like this car. This is a very, very good car. Very powerful, very agile, but I think because it has fairly sticky tyres, it is prone to a touch of understeer. But you'd expect that from cars with sticky tyres. But for what it is, it can really move. My simple rule is, if I'm understeering, it means one of two things. Either I'm not throwing the car in aggressively enough. So, for example, that was a prime example of an aggressive throw-in. How do I get that? Well, that wasn't the right one I wanted. Doesn't matter, it's gone. You could see just how aggressively I threw that vehicle in. And even here, trying to use absolutely all of the curb. If we go to an outside view, you'll see it. And I suppose that's just looking at this one here. That's probably a cut track. But yes, this, if you just look at what I'm doing here, right up to the white line, that is a cut track. I'm surprised that didn't give me a cut track. Interesting. Well, that's that. To end today's video, let's go for a slightly faster vehicle. The one that I've been driving for a while. Unfortunately, as I pointed out last time, I have not set up the GT3 wheel with this, and to be honest, after the issues I've just had, I'd rather not at this point in time. Okay, here we go. So now we are talking, we're in the realms of race vehicle. So brakes are pretty good. I remember having to drop traction control on this car. So we started in the 140, we started in the 143s, so we started in the 153s, we were down to the 142s or 141s, so where will this one take me? I'm just going to knock most of the bollards out the way, because why not? Missed that one, or both of those. Yep, knock that one out the way too. A little bit of sliding, cold tyres. Third gear is the gear I want through this, but braking can be much later. It can be much, much later. Not for that corner though. Okay. That corner, braking has to be earlier. Got it. Remember that. Does that mean that it has to be the same for this? Yes. Okay, braking for the 2 hairpins has to be earlier. That has probably got to do with the acceleration of this vehicle. So let's start getting some laps on the board. Start getting a feel for this vehicle. Or driving it through the grass a bunch of times, why not? Did I hit it? Did I hit them? I don't think so. I think if I hit those, I'm going to crash. They're a little bit too far on the inside. Just a little bit too far on the inside to clobber. Right, anyway. Yes, so coming into this chicane, speed reasonable, can definitely go faster. Here, oh, not quite there. Although that was on the limit of grip, but I had to get out of the... I got out of the brakes on both of those. So slightly after that, I suppose with the tyres having heated up, I've got a little bit more stickiness to play with. Now that was a 1:33. So if I can get this down to a 1:30, oop, come on. Get it down to a 1:30, I think we should be in a good position for... I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get it down to a 1:30, but I'll try. That would be over 10 seconds gained from the Lotus as well. Although in all honesty, if I just get to anywhere near the 10-second mark, I think it will be reasonable. I think I can brake slightly later than that too. .3 seconds gained. Cannot see out of the A pillar. That's a bit annoying. 1:31.8. Okay. That was bad. That was really bad. So see, now, unlike what I was doing, I think, last time when driving this vehicle, after having driven both the Toyota and the Lotus, I've learnt my lines around this track a little better. And because of that, I'm able to gain more time in various different places, like going down that hill. I'm definitely able to gain a lot more time. Because I'm not trying to accelerate around it. I'm understanding that I really should be lifting off. And so that is what I am doing. .3 seconds gained again. And that is quite a gain. That's quite significant, actually. 1.5 seconds gained. I might be able to get below the 1 minute 30 at this rate. Slightly too slow out of that corner this time. So here, I now understand that lifting off and coming back on the throttle is the right way to go. And it gives me the right amount of turning. Similarly here, I think I've got a fairly reasonable handle of these corners finally. All it took was me actually paying attention to my driving and paying attention to what the car was doing. If I'd done that from the beginning, maybe I would have had a much better... That was bad. I would have had a much better run last time. Although I say much better run, I mean, we established that I was 2.5 to 3 seconds faster than the opponents. But I think that's more on the opponents being slow than me being fast. So... lost way too much time there. And that was just a simple mistake of I was braking and turning. And that shows why you cannot brake and turn in that manner. So you can obviously do some braking and turning, but that's a matter of trail braking. What I was doing there was not trail braking. What I was doing there was just poor. Yes, I think that is how I would describe it, just poor. Need to get on the brakes, straighten the car and get on the brakes a little earlier in that corner. I'm now pushing it perhaps a little bit too much. Only a 10th up on this lap. Again, lost that 10th. That's a little better. Still not quite got the apex, but it's just a touch better. Trying to be as smooth as I can through those corners. That is the next thing as well. Once you've started figuring out your braking points and everything, it's a matter of being smooth through it all. So instead of stamping on the brakes, slowing down, accelerating, you're trying to smoothly blend between the various different, I'd say, zones. Completely got that wrong, and I lost a good 4 or 5 tenths in that. And there, but I noticed that on the way into the corner I was better. And I do not mean better in terms of, oh, I was better and then lost it in the mid corner because I was too fast. I was much better. I should have had control of that car through that. So this is a fairly bad lap, I would say. Second gear will do. Yes, this is a fairly bad lap. Let's try again. And that was a fair amount smoother. Yes, that was a fair amount smoother. There we go, just easing off a little bit more, going slightly slower into the corners, just to ensure that I have good acceleration out of them, just like that. Losing time out of this one, unfortunately. Still half a second though. If I can just maintain this. That was surprisingly good. And that was surprisingly bad. No, that was shockingly bad. I want to be in the 29s now. That is my aim. My aim is to be in the 29s. And that is how I shall end this video. Getting into those 29s. Almost bang on with the last lap. So that is good. And here is my chance to perhaps get a little bit faster. There we go. But lost a tenth and a half out of that bit. The problem here is I think I do need to start braking a little later to get that late apex. Because look at the amount of time you gain on that late apex. So that is what I'm going to make an adjustment on now for the hairpins. Yes, for the hairpins I'm going to make that adjustment and see if it pays off. That was slightly better. So really this is now me refining what I'm doing. That was surprisingly okay. Sure, I'll bump over the grass and lose that tenth and a half that I gained. Why not? Tenth down, should be able to make that. See how that works. 3/10, that was no good. Still 3/10 down, so maybe I'm not getting into the 1:29 today. Does not mean I cannot do it. I'm almost certain I can. It just means I might need a couple more laps. I'm probably going to need a handful more laps to try to work out those hairpins, because that is where I am losing a significant portion of time, I think. I think that is a significant time loss, and that corner that I just went through, if you get it wrong, you lose a significant amount of time as well. maybe try 1 or 2 more laps. That was probably as fast as I dared, and that might have been a little bit too fast as well. Maybe as good as it is going to get. That leads me to this corner, being the final one I need to sort out. There's the 29. Okay, I could do it. All I needed to do was pay some attention to what I was doing, or more attention, and make an adjustment. It's very difficult once you've sort of got yourself in a groove and it's an incorrect groove. It can be difficult to make an adjustment, which is something I have found over the years. I think I've just got myself a puncture. I have never experienced a puncture in Assetto Corsa. Okay. What did I hit that punctured the tyre? Right, what I've got to do is make sure that this car keeps going. This could be problems. Well, I think that is where I'm going to end. That is definitely where I'm going to end this video. So thank you very much for watching. I'm just going to go into the replay, and we'll work from there. I don't know what the penalty is, but we'll work from there and see what happened. Let's go replay, and let's have a quick peek, shall we? I just want to go straight to that puncture. Oh, according to this, there's a puncture the whole time through, isn't there? It isn't going to. I can hear it. Yeah, it thinks that the car has a puncture the whole way. I'll be honest, I do not see a puncture. That tyre was clearly gone, but I do not see it. In any case, that was Assetto Corsa around Donington, getting faster and faster. So I got a puncture here. I wonder if it was, if I go to the lap where I did it, which is, right, it's this lap. Because that's, yeah, so it's this lap. And it's, so it was fine here. What did I do? How did I hit this that could have punctured it? I don't see anything that could have punctured it there. Could it have been this corner? No, it was definitely not this corner. I had already punctured it. Could it have been something in turn 2? Could have been here? Did I clip this inside? No, I was pretty far from it. In fact, far too far away. That was perfect. That was pretty much perfect. And that is where it went. Interesting. Well, there we have it. First puncture first puncture in Assetto Corsa EVO. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to click on the like button if you like this video, subscribe to the channel for more videos on Assetto Corsa EVO. Leave a comment in the comments box below letting me know what you think, any suggestions you might have. Are there cars that you think I would be pretty decent at, or I should try that I have not yet tried? Please do let me know. If you can do so, please do consider supporting me on Patreon, link in the description box below, as are links to my social media and Discord server. That is all from me. That is a reasonable screenshot, or a place to take a screenshot, and I shall see you next time in Assetto Corsa EVO, where I'll pick a different track. Unless there is an update in the next few days, I will pick a different track and perhaps go through this whole setup all over again, just to see what I can do, and just to see if I can improve my lap times and my driving in a similar way to how I've done here. That noise is very, very annoying. Oh well, at least the video is now over. I shall see you next time.